ideas that they have for the studio in the future. It's very important, I feel, that the public out there knows what we are doing here and who our president is of the studio, our board, and our stage manager, our station manager rather. And I'd just like to this morning to introduce you to our president of Channel 11, and this is Richard Roberts. I got it right.
Yes.
Usually I
yes.
get it the other way around. And he is our president. He's been the president since when, September?
Mm-hmm.
And he's been on the board though for 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years,
yeah.
yes.
So he's not new to the board, so he knows what's happened in the past and some of the things that's going to happen in the future. And this is Jerry Austin, our studio manager, station manager. He runs the station here, and he has been with us as station manager since April, but he's been at the studio 3 years this coming October. So he's familiar with the station and knows the run of the station. And as everybody knows, I'm starting on my 7th year with the station, and I'm office manager, besides having 2 shows, Joans Corner in our community. At this time, we'll go to Richard and just give us a little bit what you think might be, if you've seen change since you've been on. We've had a couple of other we've had 3 other managers, Peter Sirois, Jim Bishop, and Katie Olette. I've been under all 3 of them, and you have been. The only one you haven't been under was Jim Bishop. I mean Peter Sirois.
Peter Sirois, yes.
Yes, he left before you come on. You come on that following year after he left.
Mm-hmm. Because I came in and actually took a class with Jim
Yes, right.
at the old station over
Yeah,
next to
yeah.
the credit union, that small little cubby
Yeah.
hole, and did some volunteer stuff then, and did some taping
Yeah.
for the station, and that's how I first got involved.
Yeah, and then you really got interested in it, and then when we needed
Someone from the school district. Yeah, I'm a English teacher at Carabec High School, but I've been involved in Lakewood Theater as a technical director there, and was the drama coach over at the high school, and kind of helped set up the TV morning announcements over at Carabec High School originally years ago. Did that with the alternative program over there. So I've always been interested in media and in video, tech kind of stuff.
Now you have, like I said, you've been with the station at least, but with the camera work and everything, I forgot about that, but it's been about 4 years
Yes,
in
yeah.
all,
Mm-hmm.
in all.
Yes.
Because she was with the station when the boys and girls come down from Carabec, and they used to do their editing at the station.
Oh, yeah,
the
a
old
little
station,
bit. Yeah, yeah.
before they got all their nice equipment
Mm-hmm.
and everything.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about, in the public, a little bit about the changes you've seen over the years in the station.
Well, I think one of the things that's, of course, just being able to move here has been
Yes.
the moves that the station has done from that small little cramped place over next to the credit union. There,
yeah.
I was going to say bank, but I knew that wasn't right. The credit union, and then the other move over to St. Sebastian School, which was a wonderful place. We thought it was fantastic when we first were able to get into there, because just the difference in the size of the place and the studio space. And now moving here has such, I think, much better advantages. We've got a separate studio space rather than that one big place, and that was kind of a little noisy over there in that place too. And it does have the disadvantage here that we're upstairs, but that's really all. I think all in all, this has been a very good move for the station.
I think when we was down to the renting that office beside the space beside the credit union, because that belongs to the credit union. You don't think you come in after we did the work to the middle room, but when I first went there, we only had that front room and the back room where the computer was,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Right.
and the T-Pro and that stuff
Yes.
was, and that middle room was a storage room. So
Oh, right.
yes,
Okay.
it was a storage room, and Jim said we got to do something more space, because that we was trying to do everything in that
In the front room.
and then that's when I went to the credit board, and we talked about having the heat put in. There was no heat in that room.
Oh, okay.
And then we had somebody come in and, it was Gene St. Peter. He come in and put the heat in, and then he put the we call the lights that you can move. He had them and he put them in.
Right.
And they're really theater lights, it was. And Scott Appliances come in and gave us a beautiful rug for that. So that's how come when you started coming, we had that middle room. And we made that into the studio part.
Space.
We moved everything in there, and that gave us more room in the front room.
As for an office.
Yes, and not only that.
And now you've got an office here that's the size of that whole front room just for the office space.
That's right.
It's really great.
And my own bathroom too. So I mean, that's something I didn't have it in the other place. Jerry, tell us a little bit how you got involved to come into the station, and what you first started doing here, and how you felt about when you come into the station.
Well, it goes back almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
As the world knows, you and I are companions.
Yeah.
And I love you very much,
Well,
and
I
I'm
love
going
you.
to tell you right on television that I love you.
I love you very much too.
Sweet as you are, you came to me one day and you said, Jerry, we've got some problems over at the station, technical problems.
Yeah.
Could you come help us? And I've been here ever since.
That's right.
We don't want to go into what the problems were, but we straightened them out, and we learned how to run a camera, taught other people how to run the cameras. I've just kind of jack of all trades, I guess, and I've worked my way into, I know where everything is now. I know how to run it. I have spread the information that I have throughout the people that work with us, so that everybody knows what I know, so that we don't get trapped into that situation and not having people, if something happens to me, if God forbid, if I get sick or get out, this station will go right on, because Richard Roberts, or Richard, that's Richard Roberts. Richard Bishop, who's our cameraman this morning, he can handle just about anything in this building.
I think that's one of the things that's really important, is that being a community television station, the more people that are involved, the better off the station is.
Yes, it is, and that was one of the problems back when I first come to the station. We had a man coming in every day to do the bulletin board and the T-Pro, and then he was the only one besides Peter that knew how to do it. And then and Peter was doing all the editing and all that stuff, and I was just doing the office stuff. So it was actually run by one person at one time. Peter was doing everything, and he was spending more time between work and there with his own family, and then he was taken sick, so he had to make a few changes in his life, which was for the good for him. And then Jim Bishop come in and he made some changes. Then Katie come in, and it just more or less stayed the way it was. You know, we was at, I call a standpoint view.
Yep.
But the person that should run the station should know the technology stuff on it, should know how to go to the editing board and sit down and do it without any problems. I go to the T-Pro and can program it without any problems. I go to the bulletin board and bring it up to whatever has to be done. And we had classes on it, and I had 2 or 3 other people, volunteers, that I taught how to do the editing. And then I just showed him once, and he just picked everything right up and went right to town. And then he learned more about how to set up stuff. With George Allen from Beeline come up, and every time he had to come up, he would show him something different to make it better. And he has, which we both know that he has improved the editing room a lot, and made it a lot easier. At one time we was doing one copy at a time, and there is times when somebody wants 3 or 4 copies, and you're sitting there copying that same tape over 3 or 4 times.
Right.
And he come up with an idea to put 4 decks in there, and now we can do 3 copies at a time. That saves a lot of time there.
Mm-hmm.
We have two machines that can time our tapes for us. So if the main one is being busy, the other one can be timed on the other machine. He has, we do have 2 setups in there, but one we don't use. We use the other one, but it's not so that we couldn't use the other setup if we had to.
It's for backup.
Mm-hmm.
Backup and everything. He has really, I don't want to go to his head, you know what I mean by that. He has really turned the station around, let's put it that way. He has made and taught the volunteers at their level, at their speed. Did, you know, if it took them longer to do it, that was all right.
Mm-hmm.
He had classes on it. We had, our classes was 7 or 8 people we had in our classes, you know.
What is the status of our volunteers now? Do we have enough volunteers?
We had.
We're always looking.
Yeah,
excuse me.
that's right.
We're always looking for volunteers, but we have what I like to call professional videographers. Richard's professional; he gets paid. The station doesn't pay him. We have a hookup with the government. The government is paying him for 20 hours a week. The government's paying me for 20
Mm-hmm.
hours a week. I'm not costing the station or the town any money at all. We have another young fella that I like to call a professional that's hooked up with the state. So they're doing most of our taping, but we still have our volunteers like Betty Vining, Gary Allen, Paul Cannon.
Okay.
And they all have their own thing that they like to do. Paul Cannon likes to do the parade. Gary likes to do keeping pace.
Betty.
Paul also works with the sheriff's department. Anything they want, like the ride along or anything that comes up that we can take. And we found ourselves in the 3 months that I've been actually trying to change the station, we found ourselves with too many tapes. I mean, we're getting to the point now where we've got more tapes than the T-Pro will handle for a week's period of time.
Okay.
We used to have, when I first came here, we used to have a busy week and we were running Fairfield and our station.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have a busy week and then we'd have 3 weeks that we'd sit around looking at each other. We don't sit around and look at each other no more.
I know originally, a number 4 or 5 years ago, we had a lot of the airtime was taken up with those Air Force and U.S. government
We're
tapes.
still running them, but we've had to cut the airtime down.
Mm-hmm. Because we've got more
And if
real community.
if the public
things
will
going
take
on.
notice, we don't run the shows like we used to because of the fact that we have more shows to run. So that we run them for shorter lengths of time. And if someone calls and wants to see it again, we'll put it on again. We don't have a problem with that. The station has capabilities of making copies if someone wants the copies. If they give us a little donation, and we'll give them the tape.
Right.
But we have that rapport with because this station belongs to the community. It's a community-owned station. It's run by a board of directors, but it belongs to the folk out there, everybody. And they have input. The only time I hear input is if I hear complaints, and I want to talk about the complaints. The only complaints that I've been getting lately is with the telephone. And we have, we threw our old fax machine in the garbage, and we bought a new one, and I don't know what it is, but we are not technically qualified to set that fax machine up, and so either that or there's a problem with the new fax machine. But
For
anyway.
everyone, a few minutes ago, we were in here discussing that what we needed was a 10-year-old to come in and set it up
One
for
of
us.
the high school kids or something, a grade school kid, somebody to come in here and program that thing, but we'll get it straightened out. But in the meantime, along with the telephone complaints was the telephone complaint that the phone is always busy. And that's my fault. I'll take the responsibility for that because I overlooked it. Trying to get this station set up and get the editing room set up, I completely overlooked the telephone. I knew we had a problem. So what I've done is we've got 2 lines in here now, and we at the station will be using 1 line for call outs and receiving calls. The 4145 number will be for the public, and there's also a fax machine on that and an answer machine on that. And that's the thing we've
When it
got
works.
programmed.
When it works.
We're having troubles programming it in, but we'll get it. If there's a child out there that wants to program that fax machine, I would, oh God, come in and see us. But at any rate, what I'm trying to tell you is that the telephone won't be tied up like it has been. Because we're gonna use, in-house, we're gonna use another telephone. But when you call the 4145 number for the business end of it, and it'll always be available, unless the fax machine is kicked in and just wait a minute or two and redial it. But I know that's been a problem, and I apologize for it. I just overlooked it. When we moved up here, we've always had 2 phone numbers, 2 phone lines, but for some reason or other, the only one that got advertised is 4145. And the other number is kind of like in-house. It's hooked up to the online thing on the computer, and we ourselves use that telephone. So the other one won't be tied up. So please continue dialing 4145 and you'll get through. And now back to your discussion. This is your show.
Well, when he said the other one's been busy, people thought maybe somebody was on the line, but we discovered this morning that it was, when I dialed it with the other line, it was busy, and it wasn't to do with us here at the station, it was to do with the phone.
Some technical difficulty.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so
Again, we need that child.
our when Jerry said that we have tapes, I do the T-Pro, and every Monday morning.
Well, maybe you should explain to everybody what the T-Pro is when
Okay.
you talk about that.
Okay, the T-Pro is where our shows come on the air and our ads and the bulletin board is, and it's run by a little box, not very big, but it's hooked up to each of the VCRs. And
Timer box.
Yes, a timer box. It's what time it comes on and what time it shuts off, and the bulletin board comes on. And they're set up for 2 hours at a time. Our the VCRs are special VCRs just for this. Our anybody that has a TV station, they have to have this kind of VCR to run it, to go over the air. And then it's all plugged into another little box that goes out over the air. The music that you hear is another box, a special box for this, for the music to go out over the air. So it's all, if the power goes down, we have a backup power thing that the Madison Electric Light Company bought us a couple of years ago, so it doesn't interfere with any of our stations or nothing.
Mm-hmm. So what does the T-Pro do?
It times
It's a timer.
It's a
Okay.
timer.
And so when you come in and set it up, what are you?
Joanne knows how to operate it. I know how to fix it and keep it on.
Yeah.
I'm the troubleshooter around here.
Okay.
So what the T-Pro does is Joanne programs the shows 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night.
It's 9 o'clock.
Well, whatever. It's a 2-hour increment.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the show only goes an hour, hour and a half, when the show gets over with, it kicks out, the bulletin board kicks in, and it'll run for the half hour you got left.
Mm-hmm.
And then that next 2-hour increment, the tape comes up again, the next tape. And she's able to program it for a week at a time. She can program it from Wednesday to Wednesday. We don't do that, but because we got too many tapes, we used to. We don't
And
We
so now
can't do that.
is it changed daily
We
now?
have too many shows
Yes.
because it's changed daily, especially with the churches,
Mm-hmm.
because our churches are on in the morning and in the evening, at nighttime, 5 days a week. And we have to change them every day. That's not done automatically. Joanne has to come in here every morning and set those. And by the way, while we're talking about that, we all work part-time. There's no full-time employees at this station. We all work 20 hours a week, and on these government programs, if you work at a station or you work at a chicken factory or wherever you're working, you cannot volunteer any extra time.
Beyond the 20 hours.
Richard, can you take care of that? You cannot volunteer anything more than 20 hours, and I don't understand why, but it's just a regulation. So all of us are limited to 20 hours a week, including Joanne, because that was one thing that the board of directors hooked up with the town on. They're gonna limit each person to 20 hours a week. That way we get more people involved with the station. Right now, as I said before, everybody that works here does everything in the building. It didn't used to be that way. One person was doing it all, and usually it was a volunteer that just came in to do, like you said, a bulletin board or one, but we operate everything ourselves now.
Well, he got paid.
Yeah,
He got paid by the town.
yeah,
He got $100 a week for doing it. He did,
but
which is
the,
not a
the
lot.
point I'm trying to make, we handle everything in-house. If you look at a TV screen, so what I call a reality show, and watch the scroll work, see how many people it takes to put one of those shows on. And they're only working with an hour. Sometimes we're working with 2 hours. We're working with 3 or 4 things at a time. So you get 1 or 2 people that are doing the job that on these big TV networks and TV stations that it takes 12, 15 people to do, because everybody has a title and everybody does just one thing. We do it all. And it used to be, like Joanne said, we had volunteers that came in and did a certain thing. We have tried to change that around, because that's how they were getting in trouble. Because if that volunteer couldn't come in, that particular project didn't get done.
Okay, I see.
All right.
But you still are always looking for volunteers.
Oh, yeah.
We're definitely looking for volunteers. But as station manager, I'm kind of the backwards in the background, and I'm responsible to you and your board for everything that goes on in this station. You depend on me to keep it clicking. Hopefully we don't get no complaints, we don't get, because we've changed the broadcast somewhat, I'm telling you. Have we changed the broadcast? You don't have no more blue screen, you don't have no more flicker, and you don't have no more nothing that we used to have. But that was all equipment, because you had to wait for the person to come in that was doing that particular job. So now we all do it. And that's the point I want to try to get across while we're on camera, that if this station, if God forbid, if everybody quit and one person stayed, he'd be able to run the station, because they all know what everybody else's job is and how to do it. The only thing that we haven't taught Richard is the T-Pro. And it's just because we've only been doing it, 3 months? And it's just too much to try to teach him at one time. But he is going to learn the T-Pro and how to run it. We have Glendon Lange, who is very good with all the equipment, and she has trained us on the computers, on the bulletin board. She trained Joanne, she trained me, she's trained everybody. So I'm sure she'll train the rest of us. Lee Lange, her husband, is a salesman for us now. He sells advertising, and he goes around and approaches all the businesses and seeing what we can do to help them, and so he's done a super job. But that again falls back into my territory, so I have to keep these things going So I'm not doing just one thing at this station. I'm doing a whole lot of stuff and taking care of a whole lot of business, which the manager should be doing. Peter Searoy's is back with us. He is doing specials, along with helping us with the studio when we need a carpenter job done. He is a builder.
Yes, he is.
And he just did a project for me, and I'm very grateful. The station is very grateful because it's stuff that we've needed, and you need a carpenter with the tools that and put this stuff. And he did a beautiful job. Then the high school, thanks to Katie Olette, got on this project of building a set for that set over there. Desks, 4-piece desk that we can pull apart and just set one up for 2 people, or we can set the whole thing up for like keeping pace when you got a lot of people. And Katie Willett went through that and got it all going and got to school, and they just finished it. In fact, it's out in the hallway now. We just brought it up this morning with Richard.
I helped carry some of it up. It's very heavy.
It's very heavy and it's very beautiful. It's very nice. We have to stain it, but that's the least we can do. So the station is, I think, pulling together. But when I first came here, it was all one person.
Do we need any more equipment?
Right now, in the 3 months that I've been here, we've been able to replace everything that we thought that was worn out or felt that was worn out. We've replaced it, and we've got an extra, as Joanne said, we have an extra editing board, which consists of 3 monitors, 3 TVs, and a sound and video board. And that just sits there for a case of emergency.
As a backup.
Yeah,
That's the backup.
That's
And
the set that's from the equipment we bought from Bingham.
Oh,
from that guy up to
yes.
Bingham.
And we've replaced all of the VCRs. All of the VCRs on both boards. We've replaced them all. Because
but if there was someone out there who wanted to make a donation of equipment, we'd be happy to take it, wouldn't we?
We wouldn't refuse it.
We're in need of 2 television monitors if you want to show that one.
Well, a TV sets.
Yeah, they're small TV sets that we don't require a great big huge console or nothing, but we like to set them up in the studios for live shots. And both of these studios are set up to go live at any time. Richard could plug right in now and it would be live. We have modulators, and Beeline furnished us a brand new modulator, so that's the only old thing we've got in our editing room is the modulator, and he furnished us one. He's going to come up and change it, and we'll have the new modulator on. That's for live broadcasts. And basically, it's operational expense. Right now, Joanne is on the payroll that comes out of the franchise fees that the towns, the local towns, Anson, Madison, and Skowhegan give us to operate this station. It amounts to $17,000 a year. The payroll has got to come out of that. Plus we have the advertising that we're all working on, selling. I think Joanne's got the most accounts right now, but it gives us something to shoot for. But we use that to supplement the franchise fees, to try to we try to keep a reserve in our account so that if anything goes down here, we don't have to wait. I can call you and you can call the board members, and any purchases that's over $150, it has to go through the board. If it's something big, we've got the money, and all we have to do is go through the board of directors and get their approval, and we buy it. And the only thing that I could think of would be big is the computer system. And we're wanting a computer that we can set up for live feeds so that we go right through the computer direct. We have the cameras. We have everything we need. All we need is that computer.
And is there a different?
And it's a
particular
Macintosh.
Kind? We're looking for a Macintosh.
Macintosh that is camera capable.
Okay.
It has, camera hookups, and then we do the scroll work and everything right on the screen through the computer while the show is going on. That's the only big thing that we're looking for. We always need computers for the office, and we've put the word on before that we needed computers. If somebody was going to buy a new one and they want to trade their old one and decided to give it to us to use, we could use one in the office. Every computer we've got now, it's only 2, is in the title room being used for the bulletin board and the title work. So yes, we could use a computer, and we can use a Macintosh.
But you don't mind whether it's a Mac or a PC for in the office,
No,
though, right?
no, I don't mind, as long as it's a computer, it would make a big difference. I mean,
But in the editing room, we'd like to have a Macintosh.
Macintosh, and I think that well, most of your local stations, Channel 6, Channel 2, Channel 5, they all work with computers. They don't. We have the title boards that we work with, and we have to put it on tape. If we had a computer out there to work these shows live with, then we could put the title work right on the picture as it went.
Oh, as it went on, I see.
And if you came in the middle of the picture, we could put a
and type the name in.
right in there. See, we don't have the capabilities of doing that now. We have to put it all on the tape. So there are things we want, and of course we're trying to build it up at account so that when Richard and I get off this program we were on, we expect to be hired.
Oh, be on salary from the station.
Be on salary from the station, both him and I. And I don't know, what is Dennis's last name? Dennis McDonald?
Yes.
What is that? Dennis McDonald?
Yeah.
He is going to school. He works at Cumberland Farms, and he works for us. And I think it's the greatest thing going, because he's a young fella and he's interested in what is going on here, and he's been easy to teach. He's a smart boy, but we would like to keep the days of the volunteers. I think are just about over, because McDonald's and Burger King and all these fast food restaurants and they hire these kids out of the school.
Yeah.
And we used to get them out of the school.
Yes.
But if they've got a choice of making a couple $100s a week or working for us for nothing, you know what they're going to do.
I understand. And our young people here are the ones who they're coming up through schools. They're using they're learning how to use the equipment. They're doing their own little videos. I've seen them in grade school. They're doing their own videos.
Yeah.
And certainly are in all the high schools in the area.
Yes, we have what we call a team at the junior high. And some years you get a group that's really into it, and because Madison Junior High is only set up with the camera. They have a couple of new cameras the school has bought, and we come down and edit their tapes and we put them on. The high school in Madison is set up to do taping and everything, and we have a team there. The North Anston School, Quebec 74, has a beautiful setup. It's right up to date. It's digital and everything, and they have some cameras in it. My only problem with that is that we don't get a lot of tapes from the schools. And that makes it hard when people call up and say, well, you're going to put the graduation on, or you're going to put the dinner theater on. I've been having calls now about the 8th grade graduation of Madison. I haven't got the tape yet. The parents know these things have been taped, but I cannot.
They want to see them. They know they've been done.
Well, one of the purposes for this is that for the grandparents and the shut-ins that cannot get out to go to the things, it's the purpose for them to be able to see their grandchildren or some of their friends' children. That's the same way with the churches. We have 2 churches on Monday and 2 churches on Tuesday and 2 churches on Wednesday, and they bring in their tapes. We
have a Dropbox
downstairs, and
so
they put their tapes in. They used to bring them into the old station, or they'd leave them at the town office and we pick them up. But that's the reason for that is because you do have the shut-ins, and that gives them a chance to watch services. We have on Monday, we have Calvary Church in Madison here, and at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then at 5 o'clock we have Amazing Facts, which is a Bible study. And on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock in the morning we have the United Baptist Church, and then at 7 o'clock we have Crossroads.
7 o'clock in the evening.
Yes. And then on Wednesday at 9 we have St. Sebastian's Church and Notre Dame, and they alternate. One week we have St. Baptist and the next week we have Notre Dame.
Okay.
And at 11 o'clock we have Trinity Church. And so it gives the shut-ins and the people at the nursing home and stuff a chance to be able to watch
Right.
some kind of a church. It might be not be theirs, and it might be, you know. Or it's really odd. I've had people call me up and they might have missed a church, and you didn't have that on this week, you know. Another thing that I do with the T-Pro is that we change the times. The only thing we don't change is the church times. We change the times of all the shows. Like today you might see at 9 o'clock, we'll say.
I think we have just recently, Joanne and I kind of run this.
You didn't have that on this week, you know. Another thing that I do with the T-Pro is that we change the times. The only thing we don't change is the church times. We change the times of all the shows. Like today you might see at 9 o'clock, we'll say.
I think we have just recently, Joanne and I kind of run this together. We have just recently tried to put entertainment on the weekends.
On the weekends.
And the selectmen meetings and the board meetings and everything else that goes on during the week. And then these special shows, the entertainment, all weekend.
Oh, I see.
And I find that it's working out real well. It's working out well for the T-Pro, which is a problem that most people don't realize we have, because we have so many tapes now. And then the next problem is to have the airtime.
Right. Now, if someone was looking for a particular show, how would they
watch it on the bulletin board?
And the bulletin board, is there a specific time for the bulletin board, or is it just?
It comes on whenever the ads are on.
Okay.
Every day, about every hour that comes on. The only time it doesn't come on is when we have a 2-hour show.
Okay.
Then it might not come on until the next show is over. But I sat down one day and I was asked how many times the bulletin board come on, and it comes on about 45 times in a day.
Oh.
In a 24-hour period.
24-hour period. Because these shows are shown 24 hours. Our station runs 24 hours with shows in the bulletin board. When I first came on to the station, we did not have it set up like it is now, and somebody had to go in every day, and that's weekends and holidays, to change to
reschedule.
Reschedule it. And I have waded into St. Sebastian Church in the snow to make sure that everything was changed.
Right.
And this always had to be done in the morning before 9 o'clock, because you couldn't change it
once it had started.
Once it started, because they would miss your first show.
Okay.
And now we set it up. I do on Mondays. It's all programmed in, and like on the weekend from Thursday to Sunday, it just automatically, whatever time I have it, like take a keep and paste, for instance. It comes on at 7 o'clock on Thursday and Fridays. Then on Saturday it comes on at 11 o'clock. Then on Sunday it comes on at 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's automatically turned over to that. The machine automatically does it. So since we have 6 VCRs in there, and it's in the number 6 VCR, and it just automatically turns to that time. But if you just 1 second off of the tape time, you can really mess something up. And people don't understand that you have 3 steps that we have to do, and you can just mess up the whole thing with 1 little second off.
Yeah.
And then you have to come in and change it. But it's set up now so we don't have to, once we leave it Thursdays, we don't have to bother with it until we come back in Monday
morning.
And it makes it a lot easier because I was coming in on holidays.
Yes.
And weekends, so it really makes it so much easier now that when we leave on Thursday, everything is set up for Monday. And one of the best thing I like about it now, I used to have to wait for them to, and myself doing the editing before, and we put the tapes in when we got an editor, we was always waiting for a tape to fill in a time. Well, since May, we have done so many tapings. I mean, for example, Richard's been out every morning, well, even this morning he's taping because he's here at the studio, but he's been out every morning and every night taping. And when he has to do that, we split his time. He goes home early.
Oh, I see.
Because he's only limited to so many times. And somebody asked me about weekends taping, and we do go out on weekends taping, and we give them the time off during the week. So we have a nice little schedule set up, a nice little plan, and my only problem is if somebody calls me like on Thursday and wants something to tape on Friday, well, it makes it hard because my tapists like to know at least a week ahead of time.
So we should tell them if you want something taped, you need to try to get a hold of you a week ahead of time.
Yes.
And what about if someone has a tape of their own?
They can bring it in.
And what do we do about that? What's our policy about that?
That policy there is that we look at it, make sure there's no vodka in it, nothing that kids can't watch.
Oh, okay.
So
that's really the only editing or
yes,
censoring we
yes.
Just
do
make
on
it
there.
broadcast ready.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we just put it on. We time it. They don't have the time on it, and just put it on, and that's it. Peter Serra always brings us in tapes. Gary Allen does his own editing, so we don't have to bother him. He loves to do music stuff and all that.
Right. And what would be the ideal time of a length of time for a tape?
2 hours.
2 hours is the
Yeah,
ideal.
Under 2 hours.
Under 2
under
hours.
2 hours.
The G-Pro won't handle anything more than 2 hours.
Okay, so it's got to be under 2 hours.
2 hours.
But is it fine for it to be like an hour long or a half an hour long?
Well, a half an hour we have to put something. It's really kind of. We really prefer to have it as close to an hour as we can have it.
We
Okay.
put 2 tapes together if they're half hour, and you don't know what is going to be stuck on your tape.
Oh, I see.
You know, because
Whatever we
we're
have.
limited with half-hour tapes because we don't use them.
Mm-hmm.
Most all of our shows, like this week with Unity or Air Force or Army, Navy, they're all half-hour tapes, so we double them up if there's 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes it an hour show, and then you don't have to watch the bulletin board so long. The bulletin board fills in that time.
Okay, so the bulletin board is like our commercial time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
yeah.
and where your TV shows have a commercial every
12 minutes or
12
something.
minutes or so, we don't fill the airwaves with that. What we do is we have like most times 90 to 100 spots on that bulletin board, including the churches, and we also do community work. Anything that's going on in the community, we put it on a bulletin board, providing you fax it into us.
Or mail it. You know.
Okay.
You know, if we can get our fax machine working. Where was I? I've lost.
The bulletin board.
But the bulletin board is, it will keep going. The scheduling for the station is on there. The scheduling for the churches are on there. What time they meet in the Sunday mornings and what time they meet for a supper on Saturday nights, and all of that stuff is on that bulletin board. But you got to watch the bulletin board to see when the scroll comes up, because the scroll changes. I think it's set up for every 11 seconds. Something else will come up. The scheduling for the T-Pro, Joanne does that on the bulletin board, and it's more than one page.
Well, each day has
each day has its page.
Has its own page.
And all that stuff is on the bulletin board, so you know, we know, and everybody knows what time that program is coming on, if there's a particular program they want to watch. But over the weekends, it'll be all entertainment, as much as we can put on. in that time period. If we can't put it all on in the weekends, because we only have 6 VCRs to work in, and we're not coming in and out of the station to change tapes, it'll be automatic. At least 6 tapes on entertainment. If it gets more, we'll play them during the week.
Okay.
Okay, so that everything gets shown. But right now, we got a lot of tapes.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it all
it's been
set
going
up for
crazy.
already for next week. I mean, the whole week.
Mm-hmm.
It's all set up. I haven't programmed it in.
Yes.
Because there might be a change. I mean, there might be something come in that we think should go on before that one. Now sometimes we do get meetings that's over 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and a half or 2 hours. So what we do there, when they edit, we have what we call part 1 and part 2, and we put them on right after the other. Like the part 1 will come on, and then just in a few seconds, part 2 will come on. Then after part 2 comes on, I mean, well, an example is the Madison Selectmen this week. We have part 1 and part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So on Monday it'll be on at 3 o'clock. I mean, at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, but they'll be right after each other.
Okay, so it's
So
still,
the
it's
bulletin
just,
board won't come on in between.
Yeah.
We don't want to disturb that.
oh, right, I see.
It might come on for a few seconds.
Yeah, it might, yeah.
But it'll go right back to the
Mhm.
selectmen meeting.
Okay.
Anything that runs over 2 hours, we try to put it back to back as much as we can. But that T-Pro is so sensitive that if you've got 1 minute or 2 minutes elapsed period in there, that the bulletin board's
Yeah.
gonna come on.
Okay, it just
So
automatically fills
Yeah.
in.
there's no way we can get it to click from tape 1 to tape 2 instantly.
Uh-huh.
So the bulletin board may come on between that for a minute or two. And then it'll go right back on to your second part of
All
your
right.
selectmen meeting.
But if you, like when it's, say, 2 hours, you have to set your timer to rewound, what we call the rewound time.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to set that, like, if it's 2 hours, you have to set that to,
2 hours and 5 minutes
yeah,
or something.
2 hours and, no, you set it 1 hour and 59 minutes and 58 seconds.
Mhm.
Because you can't go over that 2 hours.
Oh,
It
okay.
it'll
Yeah.
shut off, see.
Mhm.
So you have to set it that way. And it has to be, if it's, we'll say if it's an hour, then it'd be, your shut off time would be an hour and 1 minute. No seconds.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that has a second on is your 2 hour show.
The 2-hour show.
That's the only thing we have the seconds.
Well, I would like to announce that, well, we're in a public forum. Another thing we're trying to do is we're trying to work with the senior citizens who have a transportation, and I want to make money on the side, a little extra money to supplement that check. We're looking for people that would approach others in business in this town and other towns about advertising, and this is a way to supplement your income. And we're all older people, if you will, that work here, except for Dennis. We found that it's a more conscientious deal, and I think that if people realize that we're really looking for older people on Social Security or whatever the case may be, to work with the station and supplement their income, there is a place to do it, and that's Channel 11.
So they can just contact you
Just
about this.
contact Joanne or I, and we're on the second floor of the Old Point Avenue School.
And
They
what's
can call
what's
in.
the mailing address here?
It's 26 Weston Avenue. It's the town office. They receive
Okay.
all of our mail, and then
You just pick it up.
we just pick it up.
So you would address it to,
CATV11, Town of Madison, 26 Western Avenue, Madison, Maine, 04950.
and our phone number is?
696-4145, and if somebody's just calling to ask a question, the other number is 696-8271.
And not just older people, but we're looking for younger
Oh,
people
yes.
too to come in
The
and
younger
volunteer,
people
right?
for the taping and working in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
The older people is just a program that I personally set up and want to develop for the advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's a thing that, it would work out so that they had an income. It may be a couple dollars, or it may be $40 or $50 a week, I don't know, it's all according to what they can sell.
It's 25% of whatever the ad is.
Yeah,
And the ads, if say they get a year ad for $260, that's what our year ad is,
Mhm.
for just the bulletin board. It's $65 out of that they get.
and that, when that renews next year, or the time at the end of the contract, you get the $65 because
Okay.
you originally sold it.
All right.
So it
Yeah.
just keeps going
It
on
keeps-
and on and on.
You might be interested in that, Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any way I can.
Maybe
Yeah.
we, and then there's one more thing that I wanted to make clear on the air. There's some rumors going around that aren't good, but you're gonna have rumors with this kind of a business. The rumors is that I can't make with this with the station. I can tell you that the income has almost doubled since I've been here in 3 short months. The shows have doubled and almost going into tripled now, of what we were doing before. And this is the president of the board, and I have a good relationship on the board. I'm a board member, I'm just not a voting member. As station manager, I automatically become a board member. But he is the boss. He's my boss, and the board is my boss. And he can tell you whether we're getting done or not, if Jerry is not gonna make it. And I don't think that the board feels that way, and I don't think that people should be spreading those rumors. I would like it to come to stop. I know who's spreading it, and I just like them to have a little common decency and stop it, because we have tried everything to turn this around, and we have turned it around. So to those 2 people that are spreading those rumors, Jerry's not gonna put up with it.
Well, I mean, we shouldn't have it. This is a community station, and everybody's trying to work, even the community people are trying to work, you know. I've got ads that's been on for years, you know, and they automatically renew them, you
Mhm.
know, and they don't question if we have to raise the price or nothing, they just automatically renew them. And then we have people that can stay on for a little while, and then something happens to their business that it might be going down, or we all know
Mhm.
right now it's really hard, money's tight, and they might go off for a while, but they'll say, well, we might be able to come back a little later, you know.
Mhm.
I've had a couple of businesses do that this year. And then you pick up new businesses, you know. You have to approach the public as if the way you would want to be approached. And that's a very important thing. We do have hats that I give to my camera people, and we have a few t-shirts. We got to get some more. That's something we have got to buy, is a few more
Mhm.
t-shirts. And when they go out, I like to have them either wear the t-shirts or the hat, you know. As you can see, Jerry has his with his name on it. I have mine with my name on it. We don't put it on the other ones, but as officers to represent the station, we both, when we go out, when we do anything to connect with the station, I wear my shirt.
Mhm.
And I mean, I got some nice ones that was for channel 16 and 6, but
Yeah.
you know, I can't really wear them now. But
Still the same station, folks.
Yeah,
It's still the same station, it's just
I know that.
FCC changes our numbers every now
Yeah.
and then.
Well, the reason why they did it this time was because we had what they call the upper part of the package they have, and people that only had the basics television, they couldn't get us. And because channel 11 was
Basic cable.
I mean, they couldn't get us, and so they changed us for them.
They put us down to a lower number so that we're in that basic package.
Oh, I see.
So everybody can receive us. And now we made an agreement with Farmington. We have Pools Corner, which people in Farmington, somebody saw it someplace and they wanted it over there. So they made an agreement, and with Jerry, they talked to Jerry about the people that do Pools Corner. And so they take a tape over there, but Farmington is swapping tapes with us when they get something special and everything.
Mhm.
We had I had a man call me from Lewiston yesterday that has something to do with the politics and workforce and stuff. So we did a tape Tuesday. Richard went up and did a tape Tuesday, and they want to come on our community station and bring in people for the summer, for this area, and talk about what this can help the business, is to help the business and put things out there that they have that they can offer the business people. And I will admit we was on the phone a long time. I have to admit that. I mean, Jerry was trying to get to the station, and I heard about it.
That's the busy signal complaint that was going on. I see.
See, and I heard about it. But other times when he thought the line was busy, it wasn't. We found that out this morning.
Yeah.
But so people do call up and ask, and this is what the community station is. Our community, and that's what it's branched off from Joans Corner, but this is what it is to do with community, to do with not only Madison's community, but Skowhegan and Anson. The government, if they've got something and they want to come on, glad to have them come on.
Local governments.
Yeah, local governments, anything that has to do with the community. So we are doing a lot that way. We've had good response from the police department, fire department. I mean, when we moved down here, the firemen, we moved on a Saturday morning, it was snowing, and they come, Roger Lightbody brought his crew in, and I says, well, it's snowing out, Roger, we can change the date. And Jerry was down here. I said, we can change the date to another time, it is snowing. Well, we're here, we got the trucks, got the crew, and they didn't get nothing wet. And they moved us all but a few things, and then they even come back on a Thursday night and moved the rest of it for us down here. And they put it right wherever we wanted it and everything. So we had the community behind us. There was people from the Anson Fire Department with them helping them. So, and the Madison Fire Department. So it's not that you don't have the community working with us. We do, which is very important. Another thing that we do have, we have our board, in which is from Anson, Madison, and Skowhegan. Which from Madison we have Alice Olette, Betty Vining, and Barbara Gopian.
Right.
And Barbara Gopian is our treasurer, and Alice Olette is vice president. From Anson we have Ines Moody, Richard Roberts, which is our president, and Richard Bishop. From Skowhegan we have David Seitz, is it?
David Summers.
David Summers from the selectmen, and we have Marsha
Granville.
Granville.
And we're looking for one more.
Yeah. So our towns are represented on our board. So whatever goes on at the station here, each town knows what's going on. All they have to do is ask, and then one's the selectman, and one's us from the school board, and one's at large. So the towns are well represented. We have gotten a lot of praises from the Skowhegan selectmen people, how they really think it's great that we go down there and tape that and put it on and everything, and this way the people know what's going on. That's the most important. The public knows what's going on in their towns. It's not something they're hearing from on the streets or something. And sometimes you get in a little hot and heavy meetings, and sometimes you don't, Everybody that tapes Skowhegan say that's the easiest one to tape. Linda, she has it right down pat, she does.
They never have any arguments at the
I have never in the
Skowhegan town meetings?
Not very often. Not very often. Madison, you never know. Anson is another smooth one. So we do the Somerset County meetings twice a month. We do the economical development, which is Somerset County. We do that once a month. We do the school boards meetings. We do the town meetings up for all three towns. So those are what we call our politics ones. Then we have an upfront show, which is the sheriff department. And Paul goes out whenever they get ready to do a tape, and they call, set it up with Paul. They sit around, more or less around his schedule, because he does work at Rite Aid, and he's a pharmacist. So we're covering all bases. The only thing that we do not do, and to me it's very important, because I'm very proud of the tapists, that we don't do anything with the, probably if there's an accident or anything, with the police departments or the state police or any of that.
Okay.
Or the fire departments, not unless they asked us.
Mm-hmm.
And
We're not doing live news. We're not going to go do things like that.
No. We do the ambulance meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So those are what I call the politics of the town and of the community.
Mm-hmm.
So we do them every month, and it makes it nice, because people that's not able to get out, they know twice a month they're going to have their selectmen meeting on. Twice a month. Well, Madison only has their school board meetings only once, and Anson School, but Skowhegan has it twice a month, because they get such a big district.
Yes.
So they know this stuff is going to be on, so they know what's going on, and I think it's nice to be able to offer this to the public. We do accept donations. I mean, if anybody just I don't care if it's just $5 or $10, they just want to send in a donation, we wouldn't refuse it. We did a Special Olympics last month for Urban and the law enforcement officers, and the manager of Urban and the police officer that was in charge of the whole thing, they sent us this beautiful bouquet of flowers. It was very thoughtful of them, and we really appreciated them, and they're staying pretty good. When they first brought them in, I thought Jerry got kind-hearted and brought me a bouquet of flowers.
No, but I question.
Yeah, he did when he come in and he saw them on the.
I would rather have a donation. Then we can spend it. We can't spend those flowers.
This was just.
Thank you.
Thank you for.
Yes.
And we appreciate it.
It was on a Saturday, so I had my two tapers
Mm-hmm.
and we took a Saturday and we had
Our
to do
tapers.
Our tapers. I can still forget that sometimes, because I run everything for so long but I'm getting better,
Yes, you are.
And
she learned how to run all the equipment and the computers in a 3-month time period.
Well, see, I knew how to run the editing and that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but the computers, I have gone to classes, but somehow or other, I was never allowed to touch them. And now I do. I mean, I'm the first one to admit I'm not the best speller in the world. I'm the first one.
As you folks know.
And I do sometimes put something on there that's not right, but.
Oh, they're forgiving.
Richard has taught me how to run the
Spell check.
Spell check, so it's all these little things that I'm learning, so. That's
about the community TV.
Mm-hmm.
We all teach each other.
Yeah, there's always
And
something that we know, I had the president and the station manager on. People have asked me when we're going to have open house. A lot of people have asked me when we're going to have open house. That's something the board and the manager, have got to talk about.
Well, if I may.
Yeah.
I have been waiting for that desk that I was talking about before, so that we can have that set
Mm-hmm.
before we have the open house.
Right.
After we get that stained, we've got it out here in the hallway, after we get it stained and set up, then the studio will be ready. We'll be able to show folk what we're operating.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful,
so
too.
That's the reason that I haven't talked to you about an open house. And right after we get it all completed and the rest of the building's all ready for them.
Right.
This is the only thing that's on hold.
And it came in today, and I think that was the plot of why they wanted me over here, because they knew that all those desks were coming up and needed someone to help carry them up. They were heavy.
Yeah, and we never had really we had a small open house, which was only open to the business people when we was up on Pleasant Street.
Mm-hmm.
But
it would be wonderful to have one here and show off our new facilities.
Not only that, a lot of people have gone to this school
Ah, right.
And this was at that school,
Mhm.
and I've had people come in. We had somebody come in the other day. Richard was I was giving him what had to be done for taping, and said how she went to this school, and she's on the school board in Skowhegan, and she'd come up, and it was really amazing how many people that did go here. Richard went here, I went here.
Mhm.
So we get all these people that's
Right.
coming in, and they see, they can't believe the changes.
People and memories, right?
Memories, a lot of memories, you know,
Mhm.
which is very important, you know. We're doing with George Stoudemire. I do every other month. We bring up to date, everybody up to date, what's going on for the 200th bicentennial for Madison.
Mhm.
So that's keeping people posted. I have the Chambers of Commerce on a couple of times, keeping people posted of what's coming on for Madison and Anson and Father Our Day. So it still gets out there, and people know what's going on, and they can plan. And besides the bulletin board, we put on all kinds of different stuff on the bulletin board. And we do ask for a 2 weeks notice on that, so if it's something we have to have, they want taped, it gives me a chance to let the tapers know. Talk it over with Jerry and let the tapers know. So make sure that they're available, you know. So that length of time, 2 weeks length of time is very important to the station. They can either call, they can fax, or they can mail it. So there's 3 ways that they can contact.
And on that, our business hours are 9 till 2, because we're all part-time employees. 4 days a week.
That's right.
Monday through Thursday. That doesn't mean you cannot conduct business with this station afterwards. You need to leave your message on the machine or do a fax thing, if we get it fixed, and we'll get it fixed, I promise you that. But you can do business anytime you want to. And on the bulletin board bit, we would like to have 2 weeks in advance, but we don't need it.
No, we don't need it now.
On the bulletin board. We need the advance time on the tapers. Joanne and I and Richard have received phone calls at home, and I don't approve of that. I think everybody knows what hours we work, and if they can't get a hold of us at the station, there's no need for them to call us at home, unless it's an emergency.
They can call here and leave a message at
That's
the
right.
machine.
When the machine's
It's
working.
not fair to the camera operators. It's not. They have their own lives. We all have our own lives, and as much as I care about this station, I don't care about it enough to answer phones at 9:30 at night for some ridiculous thing that doesn't make sense to me anyway, or Richard doesn't want to, you know, because he's had it happen to him just recently, and we're trying to put a stop to that. That is, just please do the business within the station hours.
All right, and that's 696-4145.
Yes,
right?
that's the one with the answer machine will be on it. And the 8271 is hooked up to an answer machine too, if the answer machine works.
No, it's not. That's just a
phone.
Just a phone.
Okay. And my copier machine.
Yeah.
All right. You know, that's something else we need is a copy machine. I mean, if I have 11 things I've got to copy, I have to do one at a time. On my word processor and on the computer, we can get more than that at one time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
But it's a station that I have seen grown. And the years that you have been on it, you have seen grown.
Yes.
And you have worked with all kinds of people on the board, and a variety of different ones. So I think they have a good board now. They've always had a good board.
Yes, we've always had a good board.
Yeah. But the most important thing is that people realize this is their station. And any little thing they can do to help is appreciated.
Yes.
by the board and by the staff here. We do keep everything locked up when we're not here, because certain ones have a key, because on kind of our equipment and stuff. We cannot afford, if somebody decides to do something, we can't afford to go out and buy any more. No. We'd have to, but we don't want to go in the red.
Yes.
Because if you remember right, when you first come on, we was in the red. Big times. And with Tony's maneuvering and everything, he got us in the black.
Yes.
And we've been in the black ever since. And you asked me before we went on the air where the air conditioner was. Well, I can tell you right now, unless we get one donated to us, he will not spend the money for an air conditioner.
Right.
Not unless the board say, well, you definitely need an air conditioner. But he will.
Are you trying to go over my head?
but he is very preserved with the money that we have come in, because you never know when you're going to have an emergency. I mean, if our cameras all of a sudden broke down or something, which they did a couple years ago.
Yes, I remember.
And you had to go out and buy more. You're running into a couple $1,000. You know, so our equipment breakdown, we have much equipment in there that costs $1,500–1,600. So if something like that happens, you have to have the money there to replace it. Our tapers, we have the board had okayed, and with juries going to them to pay mileage to our tapers. It's not much, but it does pay the gas, you know.
They're already volunteering their time.
Yes.
We should be helping them out in their transportation.
Yes. So if they come in and they say, well, we would like to we volunteer taping, and we can do it this time or that time, we would offer them the mileage. It's up to them if they want to take it or not. We have a couple that prefers not to do it, you know.
That's their donation to the station.
That's their donation to the station. But when somebody has to tape twice a day, out of town, you're asking them to do a lot. And this was done before. I can remember when I first started going out taping and stuff, I was spending a tank of gas a week just going out taping. So it does add up if you're taping every day.
Yes.
So that's our little thing that the board, with Jerry's help, has given the tapers. We started it when you first come on. Brendan went to the board with that, and everything was passed, and it might be 6 miles, round trip is 12 miles. It might be only $3 and something, but hey, you do that 3 times a week.
It all adds up.
Adds up, you know. I know what it costs to fill our car up. And he even watches the mileage on that, you know. Make sure I don't go any place that's going to take all the gas. But he is a person that does watch the money. So it makes a difference who you have. If you have a person that wants to spend money, or if you have a person that's thinking about what's coming down the line.
We've been fortunate enough to have both in this
Yes,
station.
yes, we have.
If we had the money, we'd spend it.
Yes, that's right, and we would spend it. But
well,
I mean, before we spent it when we didn't have the money.
Yes.
It's not that we didn't need some of the stuff, but some of the stuff we had, but they wanted new stuff. And I'm a very firm believer. If it works, you don't need to replace it. If it doesn't work, replace it. But as long as it works, you use it. He knows that. It's something that the older people, I think, was brought up that way. They didn't spend money like it was water. That was my father always used to say, you're spending your money like it was water. You're not thinking ahead. uh, not thinking about the day that's coming down the line or something. So we're very fortunate to have, like we said, the ones that didn't look at it that way and ones that did. So are on the right track. We do still have a dream that's always been with the station, and that's to have our tower. And that way there we could broadcast it. Anybody in the state of Maine, that would be wonderful. We could have a race to get money for that. It's probably now it costs a little bit more than it did back a few years ago when we started to raise the money. Back then it was 75,000. So I tell them what it would be now, probably 100,000. You know. So there is dreams that we still have at the station here that we would like to see happen. Jerry is done a lot for the station, and you can't do that without the support of your workers, your volunteer people. I will admit there's times that I don't see eye to eye to him, and I mean that's not only here, but it's at home too, you know.
I've been meaning to speak to you about that.
But I've had to learn. I had to learn something that it took me a while to learn. As you know, Richard, when you've come on the board, I was doing about everything, and running the station and everything, even though we had a manager. So I had to step back and learn that I didn't have to do this job and that job, and that was my hardest thing to do. And I think I'm getting there. But there's still a few things I gotta do a little bit better and learn a little bit better, but they've been taken off my shoulder. And when you're trying to keep everything running for the public, you got a lot on your shoulder. And you don't have the support behind you. But now I do have the support, so what the manager has to do, I can give it to him to do, and just forget about it. That doesn't mean I don't once in a while forget and go ahead and do it, but he reminds me, you know. But that's the things that I have to learn.
Such as this show is just about over.
Yes, it is. I mean,
our time is getting.
We have a 2-hour slot, and sometimes we don't take the 2-hour slot, you know. But I do want to thank you both for coming on this morning. I know you're from away from the school for the summer, but like everybody else, you're trying to get ready for winter in your time. I just want to thank both of you, and I just hope that the audience and the public out there has gotten some ideas how this station is run, how we do our stuff here, and anybody's welcome to come in and watch us do anything.
We like company.
The editing board, or the T-Pro, or how we put stuff on the computer. It's all fascinating. It really is.
Yes.
And I'm just hoping that this year, I understand that the high school has got a couple of different people going to be doing their camera stuff. One of the young fellows had already been in to talk to me about it, and then Skipper Gleason's son's going to be help doing
Good.
it. And he was.
Carabec has a super program
Yes,
out there,
they do.
and I really want to see that followed through with the kids, because kids are smart today. Oh God, are they smart? They can come in this station and just they're doing it.
You know, and don't take too long how to do it. You know.
And they have a nice little studio up there at Carabec. It's beautiful.
But my only concern, I hope they get the tapes to us so we can show them off to the public.
That's the problem.
That's my only complaint.
That is the problem.
And as you're in Carabec, you know.
I'll have to nag them a little more.
Yeah, and everything. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before?
No, I just wanted to say, if you heard our wish list for computers, for a PC, for a Macintosh computer, and if you've got any other donations, it'd be wonderful to have the air conditioner,
That's right.
Please, or volunteer your time too, would be fantastic for us here. Thank you.
Jerry,
I think I've been running my mouth just about long enough.
Well, then we want to
Our
thank
camera operator's getting tired.
we want to thank you, and we will see you next week, and have a good weekend, and remember to drive safely.